Hey Sheeples, this is Z.
Hello, sheepos! And this is, well, usually 1000 minus 7, but today, what should I call myself today, Z?
You could call yourself Mr. Not BDD. I
Not
don't know.
BDD. No, that is such a long ass name.
Yeah, no.
uh,
You call yourself. Oh my God, is there a Pokemon that has like
oh!
Gibby, Ghastly,
Munchlax!
Gengar?
Munchlax!
वो ये कौन है? ये कौन से सदी का Pokemon?
The baby version of Snorlax.
Oh
Munchlax.
fuck! I'm just gonna. Dude, why have I
You don't
never
know about
heard?
Munchlax?
Are you fuck? I'm just like typing on Google right now to see the photo, and oh my god, this is so cute. Oh fuck, dude! It has two little teeth outside. Oh
Yeah,
god.
it evolves into
Oh god.
Snorlax, bro, and it eats, bro. It can eat. It's a
That weighs 105 kg, 61 centimeter tall. Oh, ability. Look, dude,
Scooty.
look, the ability is thick fat. What?
Yep.
Thick fat?
Yeah, ability is thick fat. It's quite cute,
Oh
dude.
my
It's
god.
quite cute.
Snorlax.
I like it. I
Okay.
like it.
Hello, Mr. Munchlax. It's nice to meet.
Yes, yes, yes. Hello.
So today, I guess we're getting into the fields and taking all the masks off, and we like to do this
Yeah,
every month or at least once a month. We like
we
to
try to
like,
do it every once a month at
yeah,
least.
because it's a very humbling episode when we do it on mental health. I think it's like you can't pretend like you
Yeah,
have to take all the masks off and just bare your soul and talk about what really
gone
is.
mask off.
Yeah, right. Take the mask off. So this is like unmasked.
It's
This is the
it's
unmasked series.
it's basically like the masked singers unmasking. I don't think you know what I mean, but
No,
it's
I
it's
do,
it's this
man.
show. It's a
Right?
show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the masked singer is basically. I mean, I don't know why I'm getting into this, but sure. The
अपना
masked
पॉडकास्ट
singer.
है तू बोल ना तू बोल मैं
The
सुनेगा
masked. It's basically a show where like people don't know who's singing, usually celebrities or big names already, and they are from different fields and all that, and they wear these elaborate costumes, and they are in masks and get-ups, and the judges, or rather the people who are judging technically, are the ones who have to guess who the singer is, and
Okay.
it's quite fun. It's quite fun. Like they perform on stage and all that, and then like it's a big thing when you get to know who the person behind the mask was. So it's called the Mask Singer. It's quite it came
Meanwhile,
from Korea. This
okay.
this show, I think Korea, where it came from. Yeah, I'm quite sure it's
Meanwhile,
Korea.
we're stuck at रसोड़ी में कौन था. So I guess we're
And and
competing to global benchmarks.
no, dude, like there are so many good Netflix and Amazon Prime shows and Hotstar shows now, Indian
Yeah. Yeah.
shows at least. So that's always fun to
You know,
watch.
like it's a tangent, but I'm gonna tell you, like I secretly feel, and I might get flack for this, but okay, given the fact that they have great storylines, no disagreement there, but I think
Yeah.
a large part of the appeal of why a lot of people watch them is because the content isn't censored yet. It's an unpopular opinion,
Right.
but I honestly think
Uh,
the nudity and the abuse. I mean, there is nothing wrong with nudity and abusing. It's a very normal thing. But the fact that it was made such a forbidden fruit for
so
us,
much good. There are good storylines. It's not
dude,
like there
like
don't
I
have
said,
good
no
storylines.
denying it at all. But I'm saying part of what makes it probably a little more attractive is the fact that it's uncensored. And like,
Maybe.
I don't get it. Like, I don't get why people find people abusing such. There's so much thrill in that because it's something that you do every single day. Even if it's sex, it's
It's
accessible
the
to a
thing
lot
is
of
like it's
people.
not so abuses and profanity per se is not a very big thing on TV, right? Like nobody does it, so it feels like a forbidden fruit when like it's done on some show.
But
And
that's the thing,
why
right?
do you think why do you
Why
think
does it,
Family Guy and Simpsons were so
dude? But no. The point is, why does it feel so thrilling when you're anyways doing it every
because
day?
you're denied it. You want you're
अरे but
denied
ऐसा
it in
अपन
mainstream.
को गाली देते हैं ना, like we
एक
talk.
दूसरे को देते हैं, but like when it comes on when it's a platform, when you're denied something on a platform and then suddenly you see it happening, oh my god, it's so
Hmm.
cool. Oh. But
ऐसे just
it's not even like
small
it's not
small
even close
little
to why
things
people
blow our
like those
minds, huh?
shows, dude. It's not even close to why people like those shows, dude.
No,
I,
fair,
I
fair.
completely disagree in this matter.
That's
I mean, I
the
can see why.
that's the beauty,
They,
bro.
but yeah,
Like there are
like,
there are some OTT platforms I've been told. I don't know. I won't take the names because I haven't personally watched them, but they say that it's just Indian softcore pornography, and I'm like, oh, okay.
they
And
might be. Yeah, like I think I've heard about
yeah,
something
so I
like
mean,
that
like I
going
haven't
on.
checked those platforms out, so I don't know. But
Neither
like,
have I.
yeah, so I basically use.
I've,
Oh, why are we even, dude? The topic is
yeah,
mental
exactly.
health.
I told you. I don't know
Okay,
why we went into
all
this.
right.
Um,
So to everybody listening to this, when you start doing a podcast, the best part is there's a very fine line between a very candid conversation that you're having with a friend and a podcast. And somewhere when you start recording, it's very easy to forget that, especially when you're doing it with such a good friend as Mr. Munchlax. So yeah, so
yes,
forgive
punch
our
lags.
regression. Yeah, Munch.
Okay, we need to stop. We need to stop.
Okay.
Uh,
Yes, I mean this we're back, and if you're listening to this, there's a good chance you've heard the episodes before. If you haven't, and if you like what you hear, you can go back and listen to those. We at least have three other episodes where we talk about mental health, and we feel it's an
I think
extremely important
it's our
part.
roots. This
Yeah,
is for sure our root because this is how the Sheeples started. Our first
true,
episode was about mental health, and we always want to push that conversation about health and about mental health positivity, mental health awareness as much as we can because it is important. It is very important, and I don't think people like understand it as much as they would like. I don't think we understand it as much as we would like
I
to
agree.
understand
I
it. So
agree. It's. I mean, I've always been, amazed with the fact that the physical realm, okay, our
yeah.
physicality is so tangible, and at the same time, it's so limited. Like you
Yeah.
have, it could probably be 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet tall. That's about it. You have two legs, two hands, one nose, two ears. I mean, everything is so defined, right? There is a limit. There's a limit
Yep.
to your physicality, but when it
That
comes
is
to
true.
your mind, it's freaking infinite. And I've always like been amazed at my own behavior on how I obsessed with my physicality, which is so limited, but I pay absolutely no attention to my mind, which is, I guess, which is where we should all be. But something about visuals hooks us in, I guess, and we just end up ignoring mental health. Like I have
No, it
for
was never a topic that was spoken about in the
right,
beginning.
nobody
So I
talks
guess
about it.
it's one of those things that people started understanding more as time went by because originally like nobody spoke about this with our parents. I don't think like now when I have these conversations with my mom at times
True,
like I
true,
realize like there are things that there are things that I didn't know and then we learn right from each other in that sense.
true.
And
I
and
mean, I think this
again,
the state of mind for most people that I've met is that mental diseases are illnesses of the rich, and I think that's a very sad way of looking at it. I'm not too proud
yeah.
to admit that I once too thought that was true, but I don't think so. I just think that the rich have the resources to diagnose it, but everybody goes through its side effects.
And one thing we always recommend is if you do have the means for it, if you have the
Yeah,
opportunity, and if you feel like it might help, do go to a professional because it you never know what it might be that might you might be going through and not understanding, and like always having
true.
that opinion and understanding from someone who knows your mind, right? Because they've studied
Agreed.
the mind, they've studied like
Agreed.
all these things. It's not like bad to understand yourself and go
True.
deeper and
True.
into who you are and what you want to be and what you want to talk about, kind of things. Like
True.
it's a great thing to do.
And we've mentioned this before, right? We have a resource which is basically a public document. It's sort of like a small little vision that we had is that if two people feel a little better after talking about their problems with each other, why can't we get the entire virtual internet world on to a online document and have everybody
Yep.
confiding their own fears and triggers anonymously? I mean, you can choose to put in your name, but it's all anonymous for the most part. So we've created a document
Z, I
where,
think I Other idea that we
Uh huh.
do
Okay.
work on.
Dude, these are the best
So
ideas that we have live on the podcast. That's how the gaming thing happened, man. And if you haven't,
yeah,
if this episode's too heavy for you and you want to just chill on some gaming, we've done a badass game on Instagram called The Remnants, and you can go and check it out on the story highlights. It's just 75
so it,
slides of fun.
it was a long game, but it was fun. It was
Yeah, so
fun to
we
make.
basically
Yeah,
had that idea while we were doing the podcast, and we were like,
yeah.
we both of us were like, fuck, did we fuck it up? Are we overachieving? But we were like, arey, karte hai na.
So
And,
so for this, like, I just wanted to say, since we have this Discord that we basically, this is a server we are on where we record these episodes, right?
mhm.
And why not make this Discord channel, this particular server, into something people can come into and talk to each other as a community, like if they need to talk about things
Wow,
and they need to have a chat. So there's always options to create channels for different reasons. So we
correct.
can like log this channel up for just recording, but like,
Hmm.
having like people join into the Discord as a server, and then we can interact with these
Yeah,
sheeples. They can interact with us. They can interact with each other, talk about different things. So we would love to open up this particular server for anybody. I mean, if you're up to it.
yeah. I mean, like none of us are therapists. We're just offering
Yeah,
to be friends and
yeah,
create that
like
virtual safe space.
just like we've always spoken about having a virtual safe space. Like,
Yeah,
why not make this as well available for people to
true,
join in, and
true.
always like we are up for a chat, if y'all are. So let's do that. Let's open this
Dude,
up.
so
And
is Ramsham. He's always up for chat, man. So
oh my god,
just
oh, shut
hyper
chat.
local Santa Cruz jokes, okay? Like Santa Cruz shit
Yeah.
posting. If you're
Oh
Hormus,
my
you get
god.
the reference.
I think, I mean, if you're homeless or if you live in Santa Cruz, you get the reference.
Oh, dude,
So
Ganesh chart, man. Ganesh chart all day long.
uh,
Right. So I
no,
mean, we've like it's okay. I mean, if you can't afford, if you don't have the means, or you can't afford to see a therapist, that's okay. If you don't
yeah,
want to see a therapist, that's okay too. But I think it's always think the worst thing possible is to keep it within yourself and not
yeah,
talk to somebody about yourself. So I mean, what we're offering is not a substitute for
therapy.
going to a
It's not
therapist,
therapy. Yeah,
but it's better than the worst option that you have, which is not talking
yeah,
to anyone. And I don't know, man. I could really do with the internet becoming a little more of a positive space. We're
yep.
constantly trying to churn out content that is not negative, not talking about the pandemic, because it's weird. Okay, if you don't believe me, try it. Talking about negative topics actually gets you clicks, actually gets visits. And that's how the whole business of news works, right? So we
It's
could
a lot of drama works.
a
That's
lot of drama. So
what.
we choose not to do
Yeah.
that. I mean, in the middle, we did a small segment called Pausey on Twitter. We probably could, I could restart that, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of traction on Twitter, so we didn't continue. But we've seen amazing traction
Twitter is
on.
usually a place where we post a lot. Like,
Yeah,
there's stupid stuff on our
yeah, correct. But
Twitter. So yeah,
if like every platform speaks to a different person. So if you're listening to
yeah,
this and you are a Twitter user, I mean, come say hello.
yeah.
Probably
Come
even
say
tell us
hello.
how we can get our Twitter game better. We're always
Yep.
open to learning. But if you've come this far till the episode, then it's only fair that we talk a little more
What
about
the
mental
episode is
health.
about
Yeah,
today. Yep.
yeah, fair. And one of the reasons we're talking about this is because last week Munchlax told me that there's this thing which the internet is talking about a lot, which is basically BDD, and that is.
More than anything, I think it's also one thing to preface this. I would like to say
Mhm.
is quite a few times our mental health is so intertwined with our physicalities and physical health and how we are on the outside. We don't
Right.
realize it, right?
True.
And those, like, even the smallest thing can affect someone, whether it be like a spot or a pimple. And people like get so worried about pimples, right? Remember, as kids, like, people used to be, oh no, there's a pimple on my forehead, there's like, I have these like zits on my cheeks and all
Dude,
those
there's a
kind of
place
things.
called
And
Pimple in Pune. Did you know that?
Uh,
It's literally
well,
spelled
that
Pimple, but they call it
that
pimple.
I did not
Not
know
making
this was
fun
a
of
thing, but
anybody
sure.
who has pimples, just saying that it's weird
Yeah.
to. Okay,
No,
sorry for
but
that. Sandhya, if you're
that was
listening to
the
this,
most
you know what
random
we're
fact
talking
out of
about.
nowhere, out of left field.
Yep, yep.
But
Sandhya knows what you're talking about. So yeah.
Yeah, Sandy knows. Sandy knows
Girl
for sure.
Sandy, we miss
Uh,
you. Come make a podcast with us one day.
yeah. Come on an episode with us. We'd love that. But getting back to it, I think just like even as the small things like, oh, what will people think of us in school? How do we look
Yeah,
like?
yeah.
Trying to look cool in our uniforms, even though it was always nerdy.
Damn, those uniforms were designed to
Yeah.
embarrass. Like the
Oh
death
my
of
God, dude.
fashion was school uniforms. Like that's where fashion goes to die. Like suicidal
For the
designers
people
design
who
school
have
uniforms.
uniforms, and I think Indians get this. I don't know how many
Dude, my
people.
uniform was a fucking blood red shirt and
Oh my
black
God.
and white stripe pinstripe pants.
Jeez. Jeez.
I did not know. Like shirt में मेरा स्पेन चल रहा है और नीचे मेरा 90s black and white Russia चल रहा है. Like I had no fucking idea why this was happening. Like Tomatina खेल के आया हो ऐसा लग रहा
Bro, mine at least wasn't like a colored shirt. Mine was a white shirt.
था. Dude, like you could
Uh,
just be classic, right? Like denims and
White
white
shirt
shirts.
with blue jeans. Well, not jeans, blue pants.
Dude, that is perfect. That is just.
But the funny thing was on
Were
our
you allowed to
uniform,
wear
we always
denims?
used to. No, we didn't have
Okay.
denims. We weren't allowed.
Oh,
So
I
on our
thought.
uniforms, we always had to wear these badges, okay, on our
Oh god.
pockets.
All right.
And these badges, every week it was a new badge. And the people from this school will know. I'm not gonna the school, but people from the school will know. These badges used to always have this one word. Like every week it was a new badge, so we kind of rotated badges every week. So
Mm-hmm.
it was either peace, togetherness, joy, be Indian. There was one called be Indian, which was like okay, and
Wow.
what was
How
there?
much
There
more
was one
Indian can
more,
you get? Like.
and there was I think go green or something. So fair enough.
You took that one seriously, didn't you?
No.
I
I
mean,
did
you
not take anything seriously. Not
played
that
the game
no,
for me and you were a fan of
I
Popeye. What else can I say?
no, no. I didn't take anything seriously.
तो
There,
पालक
we
पनीर
can't talk
पसंद है
about
तो
it.
मैं क्या करूँ मतलब इसमें क्या
हाँ.
है इसमें कौन सी बड़ी बात है
God damn it.
Sorry for all our international listeners. We're just having a little too many hyper local Hindi
Hyperlocal
jokes.
jokes. But yeah, so this is what I mean. So our uniform became embarrassing because of those, and we used to get negative
True.
marking if we didn't wear the right badge in a week. So we used to get negative marks on our
Wow.
tests. So yeah, imagine that. It
Dude,
was
that
too
is
good.
just so bizarre, man. And it's
Yep.
it's great that you pick up the school thing because from whatever light reading I was doing into body dysmorphia disorder, and if anyone's
Yeah.
listening to this and is actually diagnosed with it and feels that I'm off base, please feel free to correct me. I don't go through the disorder, but I have certain areas which I feel that are borderline. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going back to school. I feel that a lot of people who are insecure about the way they look today, the roots went into bullying. They went into the side of bullying, and I think the roots
Yeah.
come from
Yeah.
the fact that a lot of people were ragged and bullied
Yeah.
for for their appearances. I think that's a very unfair space to be. If you were bullied, then that is wrong. It's not fair. You shouldn't have gone through that. I hope you found a way to cope with it and made your
Mm-hmm.
peace with it. But if you've not, I suggest you revisit that memory and you try to find out who the person was. There's a good chance that that person's a little more mature now. If
Yeah.
you have the courage, if or you want to develop the courage, reach out, contact them, and tell them what they did was not right. Um, if if they
I mean,
apologize, great.
at
If
the
they
end of the
don't,
day, yeah.
I
Like I
mean,
think people grow up a lot
yeah.
over
So I mean,
the
you'd
years.
have a
And
good chance of getting
yeah.
closure, but don't let that memory just be tucked away.
Also, like it doesn't necessarily have to be through bullying, just to say, because a lot of the times people are hard on themselves more than anyone else being hard on
Sure,
them as well.
sure. No, but my
I
point is, you need a
Yeah,
mirror. You need a
like
mirror to show
definitely,
you that
definitely.
there is something wrong with you. And that being said, a mirror can also be a bully.
Yeah.
Your
I
bully doesn't always have to be a human figure.
like the funny thing, I would say, more than people saying I'm fat, because like I used so this we'll get into more late as we move further into this pod. But for me, I've always had an issue with weight. Right, that's been my personal uh, dilemma that's always affected me throughout my life. And this particular thing, like more than because you learn, right, as you grow up. In the beginning, when people like make fun of the way you are and you're fat and all that, and you know what you are at the time, like you feel you're already feeling shit about yourself, but then people also say that that doesn't help. But more than anyone else saying it to me, I think I was very well aware of the fact, right? Because as a fat kid, I was very well aware that I was a fat kid. And as I used to look at myself, or as I used to think about myself, I was always the hardest on me. Because it didn't, like, I didn't want to be fat. I don't know. It wasn't like I wasn't helping myself by eating and all that. I did have another disorder, but that's a whole thing, different thing, thyroid. But like more than just thyroid being there, I think I just didn't like do the right things or eat the right way, and I was always like on my own case. So I think I've been my own undoing more than other people have in this particular matter. But that's me. That's me. People have different experiences.
Fair.
Everybody has a different way
But
they look
if you
at
go
things.
back, what's your earliest? I mean, I know it's a long way down the line, but what's the first point at which? Because see, as a child, you don't know what fat or thin means, right? You don't know what healthy.
Yeah,
Somebody puts those ideas in your head, and it's a long journey from somebody putting those ideas into your head to one day you
I think
waking up and
TV, man.
saying, "Yeah,
It was TV. Always the whole making fun of that fat kid
yeah, yeah,
advertisements and all those
yeah."
kind of things, and TV shows having the, oh, the fat kid be the butt of the joke kind of thing. So
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
you kind of knew there was something there, and then you look at yourself and you realize, ah, wow,
Oh.
that is what it is. So
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it's okay if you laugh about it. I mean, deep down, I'm just like, shit. I wish I
it's
was
sad. It's
your
sad.
friend in
Like the
school, and I could like just tell you, hey, to fuck those guys. We'll go catch Pokemon. Chala panjate. Like, I wish.
like I don't think people in my school were bad. I think everybody is a really nice person now. I know everybody. I mean, I'm not talking to everybody every day, but like at least I've met them here and there. We've had reunions, and each person is nice. They're doing well. I'm so happy for each and every one of them. So hey,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's awesome to see. Um, but yeah, as kids, nobody knows better, and I think everybody's had to go through some kind of bullying. Yeah, so
Sure.
bullying is there for sure. It's not. It can be in different forms.
Yeah.
It can be in different ways. Uh,
So my
and you,
hypothesis is I think it starts with an external, an external stimulus. Somebody tells
yeah,
us that अबे तू मोटा है, or somebody tells me कि
I
अबे
guess
तू
yeah,
पतला है.
that
Like
is
so,
there. That
I
is
mean
there.
like Ayushman struggled with weight. I've struggled with height for
I
like
was
a
just about
long
to
time.
ask you. Yeah,
Yeah, so I've
yeah.
struggled with height. So, and ironically, in my case too, I haven't anybody, no one's, I mean, probably they spoke about it when I was in there, but I can't say that for sure. But I honestly don't have a single memory of anybody coming and telling me, dude, you're short.
Uh huh.
So it's weird that way that for me as well, the tormentor is inside. Like I haven't
Right.
needed an external stimulus. Like in my case, I was my own bully because somewhere in
Yeah.
the sixth, seventh grade, when everybody, all of my friends started having like spurts of puberty, and then after a summer vacation, people would come back to school in the new grade, and then suddenly they'd be like a foot taller. That kind of never happened to me. So I started becoming really insecure in the beginning that, why is it not happening to me? And I'm like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
it'll happen later and later and later. And just to
Hmm.
put perspective out there to anybody, I am 5'5". So I have been 5'5", I guess, right from the sixth or the seventh grade. And so initially it was like, okay, it'll happen at some point, and then came 18, and then came 21. I was like, okay, well, this is, I guess, it. So it was me who just secretly kept waiting, because you'd see. So I mean, you'd get insecure yourself, because you'd hear your friends going like, clothes don't fit me anymore, and then
Mm-hmm.
like, I love playing basketball, but suddenly from after sixth grade to seventh grade, the game changed, because in the
Yeah.
sixth grade I was damn good. In the seventh grade, I
Yeah.
was not being picked in a team. So I was like, fuck. So see, that is bullying too, but it's not intentional. I
Yeah.
mean,
That
if two
that
people
one.
in a sports team are picking who gets to be in their team, and if they leave the short guy out, I mean, you can't call that bullying. But I mean,
Yeah.
somewhere inside my childlike mind, it felt unfair.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
but the worst part with, like, I'm not trying to say that height versus weight, there is a comparison, but like,
I
whenever
mean, dude,
somebody
like
told
it
me,
tormented you.
yeah,
It's as bad.
exactly. Exactly.
It's
So I
not
mean, it
great.
troubled me, and like, it troubled me. Like, it still, I have some days where I'm like, God, like, I wish, like, you see somebody, but that's the best part. Like, that's the thing
So
that
the
I've
funny thing
understood.
I think here is I look at you and I say I wish I was as thin as you, and you might look at me and you would be
Yeah,
like,
right.
I wish I had your height.
But we're constantly doing that, right? We're
Yeah.
constantly we're just so, I mean, we so conveniently ignore all, and very conveniently cherry pick on what we don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think there is this small part inside of us that enjoys being unhappy, and is constantly
Hmm.
finding ways. Because to
Hmm.
a third person, they would come to you and go like, "Arey, are you mad? Or what? You're well settled, you have a good family, you have a good
Yeah.
partner, you have a great whatever. Why are you looking at this one thing?" But you're like, no, fuck all those things, I want this
Yeah.
one thing, and this is
Yeah.
not it. So I get it when you say that you weren't tormented by a bully as well, for your own.
I mean, so I didn't have the best experiences in that sense. Like I
Hmm.
wouldn't say so. Again, I don't think I classify it as bullying because when you really get into talking about bullying,
Hmm.
people have had like experiences that would be much worse than what I might have
Sure.
faced.
I mean, and if you're listening
So
to this and you've been through that, but again, but it's
yeah.
terrible. You shouldn't have had to. Nobody deserves to go through that.
And honestly, like those things calm and those things can be so bad. Like bullying, and like you said, like I completely agree. Bullying is one of the causes that really makes people go back and look at themselves and start having issues and anxiety and body dysmorphia issues, or like look not being positive in your own skin. And that is, I think, the worst thing that someone can face, right? Like not being self love is so important. Just the words self love is like,
True,
I
and
think,
at the same
very
time, it's
important.
it's so difficult to do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we need a partner. Like, actually need a physical manifestation of another person to come and tell us that they
Yeah.
love us, to feel better. But we never really. I mean, most of us are never really successful at developing a relationship with ourselves where we
Hmm.
are our own mechanism. We always need a mother or a father or a
Yeah.
wife or a husband to sort of soothe our pains. And like, even if you don't have those, you sometimes, it is hard. I mean, I guess I've always aspired to, but never really built that sort of, like, I've always loved the idea of being content with what I am and
Yeah.
what I have, but secretly I'm always aspiring for more. And but that being said, I really want to talk about BDD, for a bit, and
I
tell
think
everybody.
understanding what it is, right, like is
Sure,
important.
because like, for a lot of people, they might hear this term and feel that we have it. There's a very natural to look at a disorder and you had it. You could have it, but of course you need to get a
Mm.
professional to tell you, to diagnose you with that disorder. At least in the case of BDD, it's got a lot to do with your physical appearance, and if you find yourself um, being held hostage by that physical aspect of yours. So, for example, if you think that your nose looks big, and you think it's an
Mhm.
odd thing, and you feel that everybody makes fun of you behind your back. They might not be doing it actually, but you might feel that they're doing it behind your back.
Yeah.
Or you could just have thin hair, or you could just be balding, or be excessive. You could be overweight, or you could just be short. Whatever that
Mhm.
physicality being, you find yourself constantly being obsessed with that aspect. You find yourself spending anywhere between 3 to 8 hours a day obsessing over that part of yours, and that's where it sort of goes borderline with an obsessive compulsive disorder. Coincidentally, the treatment for BDD by people who are licensed therapists is also has parallels with OCD. Um, but that being said, it's important to notice that um, it's only you who thinks that your nose looks big, or you are overweight, or
Yeah.
the fact that you think other people make fun of you behind your back is fiction, and
Yeah.
you need to understand that. I mean, and even if somebody physically comes in person and tells you and validates your assumptions, it's just that one person. It doesn't make everybody that way. So that's a little
True.
bit about BD that I read, and I realized that it's it's maybe out there for a lot of people, and they haven't been able to get professional help. But if you're listening to this and any of this sounds like something you go through, then I guess you should read up a little bit more on BDD. Try to seek the help of a therapist virtually. It might just help out. What about you, my friend Munchlax? You find yourself scanning your weight?
So yeah, so like you asked me, Z. I think I wanted to just like I was gonna say like let's ask each other each point and talk about it from our perspectives. What if we have any like uh connection to any of those points, and maybe we can ask each other like what the issues is. So can you just
Mhm.
like repeat one of the points, and then maybe I can talk about
Sure.
something
So,
from my
so one of the
perspective.
points is that, let's say you have a concern about a part of your physicality. Could be your nose, could be
Right.
your hair, your weight, height, etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find yourself being held hostage by those thoughts for anywhere between 3 to 8 hours a day? Finding yourself in front of the mirror,
So
finding excuses to just see yourself and put yourself down.
So I have put myself down. I have. So this used to be a thing. I would say this is a little more in the past for me. This was maybe if you ask me this question 4 to 5 years back, I would say hell yes. Like hell yes. Because I used to I was at a very bad place with my weight specifically because I weighed 180 kgs like I've mentioned before as well,
Hmm.
and that thought of me weighing that much weighed me down metaphorically and
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
I can laugh. I can laugh about it now, but like, ask me, even though he would be laughing, he would also be crying inside because it was like the truth. Uh,
yeah,
so the thing is like that did put me down. That did push me my thoughts away from anything I wanted to focus on. I couldn't study properly. I always wanted to do something to push my mind away from these thoughts because I was constantly thinking, why am I like this? What is wrong with me? Why do I let myself be this way? Why did I let myself become this bad? How can I even go back from this position? Can like is it and it wasn't a great state of mind. There were times that I had really bad thoughts as well.
yeah,
And I did not know what to do about it. I did not talk about it with anyone. I always seemed jolly, happy, fine in front of everyone. I because I learned how to laugh at myself. But even though learned how to laugh at myself, I never knew how to counter the pain. How I never knew how to act upon that pain, and I think that really, 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 really got to me all the time. What about you? Like, did you have any of these thoughts pushing you back or anything like
so
that?
for me, it was always background. I mean, like, I
Hmm.
want to talk about. I want to like just reply to what you said, and I'm glad that you're out of that that dark place, and you are in a better space right now. And if anyone's listening to this, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. If anyone's listening to this and your set of problems are different, I mean, it's a very normal reaction that when you listen to like somebody complaining about their weight and their height, you're like, fuck, dude, you guys are privileged. You all have everything. What problems could you have? That's it's a perfectly normal response.
Yeah.
And the only thing I want to say to that is that problems are relative to everyone's own resilience. So, I mean, while our set of problems might be different from yours, I don't think any problem is a little more urgent than any other problem. So, yeah, well, fair. If you have that thought process, great. But we'd love it if we could turn that around and get you to be a little subjective. So
Yeah.
that being said, coming back to me, uh, I think for me the being held hostage was very ambient. I don't think I ever like quite spent like multiple hours in front of a mirror because
Mm-hmm.
most mirrors were like taller than I was. So yeah, bro. So yeah,
Oh wow.
kidding. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know what? Like a fun part is this is what this what Munchlife has taught me is that making jokes about yourself is actually very liberating.
Fun. It's
So
a lot of fun.
if you feel that someone's going to make a joke about you, it's so much more better if you do that joke beforehand, because even if they were going, there's no proof that they would have, but
So
even
the
if they,
fun part of it all, and this is what I learned over time. Sorry to speak over you in this manner.
yeah,
Sorry,
sure.
sorry. Dude. No, I was because this is something just came to my head and I needed to get
Hmm.
it out.
Go ahead.
Was that it's not about saying it before you. To me, it was more so to tell that person that yeah, I know that I am that way, but you know what? Let's have fun with it. Let's joke around. And if you want to make a joke on me, that's fine because I know
Yeah,
I can take it and I'm gonna make a joke on myself because I
yeah,
learned how to take it. I learned
which
how
is a
to
big insight. Yeah, I mean, like when you look at comedians and you hear them talk about such things and joke about them, it could really highlight that they're
hmm
actually tormented by it. So I mean, the next
yeah.
time you hear somebody and you see them joking about their own problems, it doesn't mean that you add into that joke. I mean, it's just probably an insight for you that they're troubled enough already. So that kind of sensitivity might help, or you could just laugh. I mean, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Laughing with the person is fair enough because
Yeah,
that's what the joke is for.
true.
And I mean, I took it as a compliment that people were laughing with me at the time, even though I know that I wanted to change, like helping that friend of yours if they feeling that way about them, help them.
Hmm.
Definitely, like talk to them, maybe have that chat about like how if they want to work on something, how they can work on it. Like don't like be outwardly saying, oh, I know the way like to do it. Of course, because
True.
that's not going to help the person, but have that chat because maybe you might learn something is the only thing.
Very true.
So yeah,
And at the
but
same
you were
time,
saying
if your if a part about your physicality troubles you, let's say something like your hair, let's say uh, your hair, it's something I'm struggling with. So the thing is, my dad has is like you have a thing in India called male pattern baldness, where people just lose hair in big chunks weirdly over the
right.
years, right? So my dad has that. So I'm constantly plagued with the fact that fuck, what if that happens to me? And naturally with age, as you grow, for most people your hairline starts receding a bit, and that's
Right.
freaked me out like massively. So like, let's say you're going through a hair issue, or let's say you have a mole on your nose or a mole on your
Mm-hmm.
face that you just
Mm-hmm.
can't ignore. Let's say you have that. A good way is to listen to your thoughts and listen to all the thoughts in your head, like what if I go to a meeting and they make fun of me, or what if I go for a business interview and they don't take me, or I have no hair on my head, or whatever that fear is. Okay, listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe even write it down, and then what you need to do is you need to challenge that irrationality, because
Uh-huh.
you might like to believe that those fears are legit and rational, but it's important to challenge them, because it's only then that the irrationality is highlighted. You have to ask yourself that if I go to an interview, are they hiring me because of my technical skills, or are they hiring me for my appearance? I mean, if you're going for an interview to be an actor, then maybe that thought is valid and rational. And
because
if it,
it makes sense. It would be
yeah,
there in that sense.
unless you're
Yeah.
playing a role of a guy with a mole on his face, then you are perfect for that role. So don't sell
Yeah.
yourself short yet. But my point is, it's okay if you have that, because if you're going for the interview for the job of an accountant, it really won't matter. So it's important
True.
to take that irrationality head on.
But
Certain things
but
can't be changed.
even for actors, right? I think one of the bigger things that has started coming out over the past few years is like the acting chops and the acting skills that people have. I think if you can carry that role, because we've created that whole idea of, oh, the actor needs to be
True,
amazing to look
true,
at. If that changes, and like it is changing a little bit, like
true.
the role that you can carry it out, then you know what, yeah, all the more power to you. So
Sure, agreed. So, I
yeah,
mean, you take that irrationality, you tackle it head on.
yeah,
You ask yourself for evidence to
yeah,
support your assumptions. At the same time, you also need to know that if you have BDD, then there's a good chance that you have a bias for the negative details, which means that
true.
so your body as a whole, as a unit, is made up of multiple things, right, which are visible. And if you have a mole on your face, or if you have no hair on your head, that's just one part of your body.
Yeah.
So when people look at you, they actually look at you as a unit. They look at you for your shoes and your shirt and your
Oh,
trousers
I
and
was
your watch.
definitely a unit when I was like really fat.
The units.
uh,
Dude, you're in
uh,
such a weird
it was
place because I'm
heavy
like, should I
unit, bro.
laugh? Should I not?
Heavy
Is
unit.
it?
No, I want you to laugh along with me. That's the
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
That was the
Okay.
point of
Sure.
the
Now,
joke.
now that I have your permission.
You can laugh, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that's the thing, man. I mean, like, he's come a long way to a point where he can now laugh at himself. If I mean, that's another great humility build, right? If you can even begin with that, I don't know, man. Like, just make a joke of yourself in the interview if you feel it's appropriate at that point. Like, you're like, तू कौन है मुझे बताने वाला? मैं बताऊँ तुझे. Like, you could just
we say it as two people who don't have
exactly do.
another joke.
Best
uh,
part, aren't
no,
we a
but like
humorous bunch?
that's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
I don't think I should have made this one.
That's okay, man.
Uh,
No, but the point is, you need to ask yourself that
Zingers with Z.
is that you're looking at an aspect of yourself in isolation. But when people
Yeah,
look at you, they look at you as a whole, like not like a
yeah.
circular black hole kind of hole, just like as a like like a
I,
unit.
I I'm.
Wow,
Can I say it again? I was a circular.
dude, you're killing me right now. It's
uh,
like Sida.
okay, I need to stop. I need to stop. I need to
I
stop.
mean, keep in mind that no one is as critical of you as you are of yourself. Because the best
Yeah,
part is that in everybody's life, if life is a movie, in everybody's life, their own self is the lead actor, and everybody
yeah,
else plays a supporting role. There's a good chance if you go for an interview, the hiring manager in their movie, they're probably concerned about the missing front teeth that they have, and you think that they're concerned about your receding hairline. But the truth is, neither of you all are looking at each other's imperfections. In reality, each of you are looking at your own imperfections internally
yeah.
and putting them on a pedestal. And I mean, I get it. Like this, for a lot of people, this is a little too idealistic. They're like, as a thodi na hota. I mean, it's not that way. Obviously, people see
I know.
it, but
It's sadly the fact that, and that's what like one of the points was, right, that you mentioned, that you feel like people are always making fun of you, or they're thinking
true.
about what you're thinking about. And to a very big extent that was my thought process as well. As to the fact that like I always thought somebody was looking at me and making way, or somebody was
Yeah.
always looking at me in a very weird
Like
way,
you
because
would
they
meet
knew that I
somebody
was,
and they
yeah.
wouldn't say it, but you think they're thinking it.
Yeah, and like even if they were laughing with their friends on their own jokes, and I used to think they're
Mm,
laughing at me. Like that was the
true,
weird part, because
true.
they weren't. I knew, like I know that they weren't, but then my
Yeah,
brain was like, no, no. They are laughing at you
They're
because you're a
laughing at you. No,
yeah,
that makes sense. It's actually called hostility bias, and in psychology,
yeah,
you have a set of biases that people have. So hostility bias is when you think that you are the center of attention, and
yeah.
you are the sun and the planets revolve around you. So whether someone's laughing or whether someone's
Yeah.
angry, it's always got to do with something you did. So
And the sad part of it all is now, like at the time, I thought it was true. Now I know that it's not, and I've, as I said, I've come a long way from there. But my God,
mhm.
dude, it was not a great scene for me.
I know, man. I'm just glad you've made that journey. There's an just making sure that
Pardon?
you don't. I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm glad that you've come a long way from that journey. I mean, I don't think there's an end to that journey, but it's nice that you kept moving.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing is like, if you want to call it an end to that journey, I would say it's more so that I'm at peace with myself,
Yeah,
at one with myself, and even I know where I want to be, and if I'm not there, I know how to get to it. And which
true,
this is something about coping mechanisms that we'll get to in a little bit. But and yeah, it's something that it took me a very long time to learn because I never had that help to
true,
learn it, right?
true. And
Uh,
yeah, I mean, no one guides us in these. Most of
yeah,
us end up growing up pretty scarred. Whether you're rich, poor, middle class, doesn't matter. Everyone grows
mhm.
up scarred. It's just that realizations come at different
But
points of time.
what about you? Like, did you ever have this hostility bias kind of thing?
So, I mean, fortunately, in my case, no. I always felt, I mean, like I said, I was way too involved with my own thoughts to be really
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what others are thinking. So I was my own hostility
Right,
bias, and I was my own BDD, and I was my own worst case scenario. So,
right.
um, like I said, I've been fortunate of somebody never having said it to my face, but I feel, with someone who's built little some more coping mechanisms as I've grown, I think now even if someone would say it, I'd probably just agree with them because isn't it just a
Mm-hmm.
fact? I mean, like if you're short, that's just a fact. I mean, it could just be an observation. I mean, if someone says it, doesn't mean they're trying to put you down. They're like, oh, because like it could happen that you talk to somebody virtually, and you meet them, and they're like, oh, I don't know, you just sounded like a tall person, and, and you're not. I mean, it's an observation, right? But you'd end up
Yeah.
taking that personally. So, fortunately for me, I have hostility biases probably in different areas. Uh, Mostly, like I never made many friends as a kid because I wouldn't go down much to play. So I think that gave it own set of hostility biases because then whenever I
Right.
would go down my building to go get something and the other people would be sitting down, I would think, oh, okay, now they're going to talk about me, about how I'm such a weird person who doesn't play. So in those areas, yes, but to do with my own securities, not really. So yeah.
One thing I do want to ask you, Z, since I've been talking about my own like weight and my own problems, I think I've
Hmm.
spoken about my weight and my problems in like these cases before as well a lot. I would love
Correct.
to learn like more about what was it for you as you grew up, because I know that you've had different issues you've tackled, and
True.
with whether it be with physical BDD, like this is more so about that. Like, was there anything that you faced or had to, experience that whether it be from your own like brain that didn't
Hmm.
help you out in these cases, or was it like what was your growing up scenario in this case?
So
Because yeah,
if I that's a good question because it actually makes me go back and think back. And if I do and I really try to like look at that few things that held me back, I think one of the things was always that I never really had the idea of having preferences, of
yeah,
really having passions or really having things that I enjoyed. I always, for the most part, assumed that life is a flow and you just sit on a boat and it takes you wherever the flow is. And I always thought
right,
that I didn't deserve to choose my own path. And I think I never put too much thought into what I should do. I always listened to what I was supposed to do. And I think that sort of held me back because it for the longest time I didn't have clarity on things that really speak out to my soul and things that I enjoy. It only happened much later, somewhere around 24, 25, when I was 24,
Hmm.
25, that it was crystal clear to me that, fragrances speak to me. I want to work with perfumes. I want to create perfumes. I want to help market perfumes. But I didn't have this clarity early on. Earlier, I just kept doing different courses, different education programs, took suggestions from everybody. So I think in my case, one of the biggest struggles was low self worth. I felt
Hmm.
that I was told, if I was told what I had to do, then that was the end of it. I wouldn't fight back. I wouldn't argue. I would be very docile with anything that anyone told me I was. So I think that's one thing that I've really struggled with, which is feeling that I don't deserve to pursue something on my own will, in my own will. But fortunately, I think that's changed since in the past 2 3 years. I have now started making my peace with the fact that I might have a very different life than my peers, than my friends. My life might
Right.
take uh, a lot more time for it to get anywhere. But I've come to this one realization. What really helped me get a little bit more self worth was understanding that direction is much more important than speed, and
Yeah.
that's a
True.
concept that I never really resonated or even uh, thought earlier. Earlier, for me, all it was to run, 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 run. Doesn't matter which direction. I just have to be the fastest person, and I just have to run. And
Honestly,
weirdly,
honestly, gotta say, you have genuinely shown like us, whether it be in our class in, where we were in our MBA, or like in general, that you have so much talent in some particular, like one of the areas I would say has to be uh, humor. But then other than that, because I always thought that was your passion and you are pursuing it. Like I never thought you weren't. Like, and that's
yeah,
that's that's the way it looked to me. You say it might be
correct,
2 to 3 years. I feel like you've been pursuing it. It's just that it's not been in your head in the sense of you were pursuing it.
true.
Um, but for other than that, I think one of your bigger passions that I saw, or one of the things that you were amazing at, was public speaking and coming out, like having that interaction and conversation. You say you are docile. The funny thing is, like you command a presence. You used to command a presence in these kind of conversations, and there were reasons why teachers also used to get you to speak about a few things because there's like you had that presence to have that to talk about those particular topics and uh, I feel like you
That's damn
sold
nice of
yourself
you
too
to say,
short
man.
in that sense.
Hmm. Yeah, quite literally, like pun intended. What up?
Oh, no,
No, I
no, we are
mean,
we are getting to critical mass with these jokes. I was at
तेरा
critical mass a few
तेरा
years
मास
ago.
मेरा मास सब कुछ. But I guess this what you said. I mean, I'm really touched. It's extremely kind of what you said. It also highlights the important aspect of each of us, that our own perceptions of our own selves versus other people's perceptions of our own selves are so vastly different. Like here I am feeling that I am not really much, and then here I have my kind friend telling me that no, it's actually the opposite. And I think this was illustrated excellent in an excellent manner by the brand Dove, and they had a campaign called Real
Oh,
Beauty Sketches, right? And it was beautiful. I
yeah.
mean, we can link the video. You can go check it out by yourself. It basically involved three different women sitting in three different rooms, and there was like a curtain between them and uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the painter. There was a painter who was basically painting like a painting of them. Wow. So I guess there was a painter who couldn't see them, and then there was a
Yeah.
painter who could see them, and both of them drew portraits. And at the
Right.
end, so the woman was narrating to the painter who couldn't see her her features, and there was
Uh-huh.
another painter who could clearly see her features. And in the end, when they compared those two portraits, they were so different because each of the women thought that they were not pretty, and they described their features that way. But when we actually saw their faces at the end of the video, it was, I mean, I don't want to say pretty is a benchmark, but there is unfortunately a conventionally accepted definition of pretty. and of not pretty. I mean, I hate the fact that it exists, but I have to be
Nah, man.
honest.
You know the best part of it all. There's this artist called Lizzo who's actually like showing people it's not conventional anymore.
Ooh,
People like
wow.
Lizzo and Megan Thee Stallion and all these. Like she's
Yeah.
so she's this you can say usually people call like big women like people call them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she takes it as a because she takes it with stride. She's an amazing artist. She has some really cool songs, and she is showing the world that like the conventional pretty isn't the pretty. Like look at me, because she's one of the most confident people I've seen with
Yeah,
her
we
own
need
body.
that,
I
right?
think
We need that. We
like being happy and loving yourself, right? I think that's the main
true. Because
loving.
I mean, it's weird, but unfortunately, representation in media makes a big difference. I mean, if we see
Yeah,
movies and all the actors and the actresses are white, blonde hair, um, and we see them over and over and over, you will grow up thinking that is what good looking is. And if you don't see representation of color, and if you don't see representation of having hair, not having hair, if you don't see representation of fat, thin, six
yeah,
pack, abs, or toned muscles or no toned muscles, if you don't see representation of
yeah,
handicapped people, if you don't see representation of of all of these things, it tends to make you believe that you are not worthy. And if you are somebody listening to this and you are conventional pretty, this is not to put you down. If you're conventionally
yeah,
good looking, is great, but at the same time, it's important for everybody to understand that conventionally good looking is a genetic lottery that only some people win, and it is a lottery. It means it's a game of chance. The people who were born that way and look this way now did choose to look that way. It was a happening of chance, and the way you look is a happening of chance too. So it's weird, but try to look at it objectively. Just
yeah.
because,
True,
yeah.
fair.
So that's what I had to say.
But yeah, I mean, I think understanding BDD, I think we've really spoken about so much in that. One thing
True.
I think we've missed out on speaking about, and I think we kind of hit on it a few times here and there, is the coping mechanisms of it all. Because
Hmm.
we talk about like people describing themselves and they think about themselves in a certain way. How do you get to this point of being like Lizzo? How do you get to this point of being like the like understanding like the way the painter looks at you, look at yourself
Sure.
like that,
I,
right?
I think,
And
I mean, I don't have like a set in stone answer for that, but I think the many things that we spoke
do
here,
we anyway have a set in stone answer for that? I don't think like
yeah,
one
no,
thing
we,
works for
I mean,
everyone, right?
I think the beautiful part is that the universal rule is that there are no universal rules. So if you have to even begin to get to that confidence, I think what's important is baby steps. It's important to
Mm,
create small goals and achieve them. The one thing that, like I said earlier, I learned from you and I found helpful was to like just make fun of my own self.
mhm.
Not in a self-depreciating sort of way, because there's like a thin line where it
Yeah,
actually,
there's that lane for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's great stuff for a meme, but I'm sure that meme creator was not in a great state of mind.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that's a great starter point. But the other great starter point, I mean, sort of, and this is sort of a digression, but I feel that it's helped me vastly. And this is when the discussion gets into spirituality and it gets into
Ah.
like
Okay.
philosophy. So the idea is, and I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, is that who you are at your core is is empty. I mean, who you are at
Right.
your core, like your default self for most people, is empty. But we
Right.
choose to wear certain masks of personality, of accents, of clothing,
Mm-hmm.
of beard, hair, styles, car, watch, etc., etc. So we choose to enamor and dress ourselves up with these fictional personalities that are
Yeah.
at best pretend.
Yeah.
At your core, when you just wake up in the morning, or when you're hurt and you're lying injured, none of those personalities come out, right?
Yeah.
So, the reason why it goes into spirituality is saying that lose the self. The concept says
Mm-hmm.
that at the core, yourself is empty, and don't identify, don't build an identity. And when you style your hair a particular way, or you look in the mirror, see how your nose looks, or how your hair looks, how your beard looks, or how your weight looks, you're trying to reset yourself back to an identity that you've built.
Uh,
So, what spirituality or what philosophy, and this is not just one spirituality or philosophy, it's an amalgamation of many. What many of them say is just lose the act, lose the identity. So if you think that you're good looking and you've got to stay good looking and attract partners, just stop assuming you're good looking. Stop assuming you need partners and just let go. I mean, just imagine the kind of freedom that you could have if you could just get out of your house and be naked and not be
it's
concerned about your
easy. It's
hair.
easy to say these things, but like, how do
For
we
sure.
get to it? Like,
So,
have you
no,
been through this discussion with yourself in that sense?
yeah. I mean, so the only things that have helped is just sitting by myself and not thinking. Weirdly enough, is shutting my mind off, because I've realized that my mind has
Meditation.
this constant. I mean, that's a conventional term. That's a term you could use, but I like to say that just switching my mind off. And I mean, like with meditation, I think the idea is you got to sit at one place. But I think you could be meditating when you play the guitar, or you could be meditating
Mm-hmm.
when you're painting, or you're creating fragrances, or you're playing with animals. It could be anything that puts you in a state of flow. And remember this: when you're cruising through a crazy guitar riff, you don't have a personality. You aren't a fat guy who wears a hoodie and has a Naruto collection. You aren't that. You're just in that moment, sans an identity, and that's the beauty of
Mm-hmm.
it. I think the idea is to seek flow, and flow is that state of timelessness, that you're so involved in a particular activity that you forget the passage of time. And that's why people are so addicted and pulled and hooked to sex, because sex is actually a state of flow. When I mean, and this is like another digression of a digression, but when you have an orgasm, it's more than a physical manifestation. Actually, it's a mental thing. It takes away all forms of identity. I mean, when you're in the moment with thinking about what your hair looks like, you're not thinking about what the mole on the back of your neck looks like, you're not thinking about the shoes you're wearing, you're just in the moment. So that's one example. Playing a guitar is another
Right.
example. Gardening could be another example. Feeding stray dogs and cats could be anything that brings you closer to the state of flow.
Even listening to music could be an example because
Yeah,
you
reading
can
a
lose
book,
yourself to
listening
it,
to
right?
music,
Reading to
cooking
book, yeah,
food,
reading yourself.
drinking 8 cups
Cooking
of coffee
food
a
is a
day.
good one, man. Um,
Eating food is a better one, but cooking
I've done
food,
that.
yeah, been there, done that, my friend.
Been there, done that. Still
मेरे
eat.
को क्या बोल रहा
Yes. But no,
है?
yeah,
So yeah.
I agree, man. I agree. I would fully understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm,
Uh, I think I might have gone about it in a very different way for myself, but like I see what you mean because I think we've
mm-hmm,
had very similar thoughts, but in very different ways. Funnily enough,
mm-hmm.
you
Fair.
for like you said, like I think for you it might be like sitting and doing it. For me, it started out as making jokes on myself. It started out with because first I needed to know who I was to even like get to where I am, and so the whole thing was knowing more than anything. I think at first it started out with like me to mask my own pain because I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know how do I fight my own obesity and all those kind of things. But I did it. It did take me the whole like whole of I think school time by the end of school time to understand. Okay, you know what? I know that I am fat. How do I accept it? How do I get to it? And accepting it for me was the first step, and that started with making jokes on myself. Um, and I've gone through a very stupidly long process because it took me what 10 minimum 10 years to even like work on myself in that way.
Wow.
But it started out that way, I'd say. And from there, I moved on to more so kind of like it took me time to look at myself and say that you need to work on your, like, the only person, if you want to change where you are, the only person who can do anything about it is you. And if that is the case, like, I lose who I am now, like you said, like losing that identity to like get to where I want to be and be myself. And I think the more I start, I think I am a very weird mix of like I can't focus on one thing properly for a long time, and I'll be making jokes on myself. I'll make jokes for a moment, then I'll become like philosophical the other moment, and then I'll
Hmm.
become stupidly like focused on some other thing for the next moment. So it can always, I'm always like moving around different things. My brain goes to different train of thoughts, and I think it shows in our pod as well, because both of us keep moving to different topics randomly in between the normal
Yeah,
topic.
man.
But that's what it was for me, right? It took me time to understand that if I want to get to where I want to be, I need to do it myself. I need to, because I needed to learn to love myself, and to love myself, I had to change myself, kind of thing. uh, it's not the healthiest way of thinking. I don't think it is, because you can love yourself the way you are, and if you're happy with the way you are, maybe accept, like, you need to look back and think of a way to be like, you know what, I love the way I am. Chuck anything
Yeah.
anybody will say, because I know where I am is where I want to be, and I want to look at other things that I want to do. For me, that wasn't the place where I wanted to be, and which is fair enough. And that is my self love was, you know what, I love myself enough to change myself, kind of thing, right? I
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to let myself go down depression, go into those bad thoughts. I don't want to give in, because I love myself enough to pull myself out of it, if you know what I mean,
Fair.
kind of thing, right? And if I knew, if I knew what I had to do at the time, I made the decision that, you know what, it's time. It's time for me to start taking action, and I did do that. I saw, when I started seeing that difference, that, you know what, I'm working out, I'm eating healthy. I'm not doing, things that I used to do, like having a pizza a day, or having a whole bottle of Pepsi or Coke a day, because I was just unhealthy. I was stupidly unhealthy, and I was giving myself into a void. That, array, it's normal to do it. It's normal. No, it wasn't. And I realized that, you know what, if I want to get somewhere, I have to do it. And I started doing it. And I think pushing myself, because I wanted to do it for myself rather than having another reason to do it. Like, because I wanted, it was for me, I realized that, you know what, it's the right move to do it. It's not because I'm doing it because someone else is doing it. It's not because I'm doing it to, impress someone. It's not to do it to uh, like get something or get awarded something or get rewarded. It was because I wanted it. And if I wanted it, I the only person who can get it is me. Nobody else can do it for me.
That's damn on point, man. I completely agree with you.
So the only sad part about it all is in the lockdown, I kind of gained a little bit back. Not like crazy amounts, but like I did gain a little bit of weight, and that kind of made me sadder.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, it's like not in a bad way. It's just that I don't. It's not. I'm not happy with where I am right now, and I like today itself. I think I started. Yeah, it's been today that I started my whole workout and diet schedule again. So like I've literally had like cornflakes in the morning and fruits for lunch. Like I'm gonna go on that healthy binge. I'm gonna go walking every day. I'm gonna work out every day. Do push-ups, do those kind of things. And I think you know what, for you sheepers, I'll do this. I might just like I'll take a picture and take a whole thing of like every day working out and how much of a difference I'm making for myself. Whether it be at the end of next month or in the next 2 months, I'm gonna stick to it for myself, and I'm gonna like I'll show you the progression for my like where I am and where I want to be. So,
That's amazing, man. I'm sure we all love to check it out.
but yeah, I think my coping was that like knowing, understanding myself and like learning to love myself. It was difficult, but I got there because I knew that the only person who could do it was, you know what, you're the only person who can do it for yourself. So there's gonna be help along the way, but you know the thing that can make the biggest difference for yourself right now in these cases is you, right? And But that was me again. Different people, different problems, different ways to deal with it. uh, but yeah, coping.
Man,
uh,
this was a brilliant chat. I think we've talked about so many things, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We had like
yeah,
it was great. It was very
thank you if you stuck
liberating.
around till the end of the episode.
Yeah, yeah. Like bonus points. You got to hear
We
us
ap-
do
we
chorus out
appreciate
of
your faces.
Sheeples, and the other people don't.
Sheeples!
Sheeples.
But yeah, last thing to say, if like you're worrying about your own looks, just remember that you are the best you can be, best version of who you are. And if you feel like you want to change something, you're the one who can do it, because you know you have the power. You are the like, you know what, you have the strength. That's it. That's all you need to know. You have the strength to do everything and anything. And all it takes is you to realize that you have that power. So yeah, go for it. Kill it with whatever you all want to do, and connect with us on Discord. Like, we would
Yeah,
love
yeah.
for you all to join it.
We'd
Join
love to
it.
hear you out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anything you
until
want to
next
say, Z?
time. I would love to say until next time, but I wanna plug in that we have a beautiful resource in terms of the public access sheet. We're gonna plug that in again on the posts, and we'd urge you to check it out. Make an anonymous confession about things you've struggled with, and know that listening to you might give somebody else hope, because you're always ahead of somebody in the journey of recovery and always behind. So if you do it, you help somebody who's behind you, and if someone ahead of you does it, it's you. So it's like a circular process, and just check it out. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, until next time, sheeples.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Sheeples.
See ya, sheep.
Shiva!